Good morning. We have
Good
jamsarny
morning,
here. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. I'm really good.
And,
Too good.
And what are you feeling about Sunderland's Premiership return today?
I'm excited, mate. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'll wait till 5 to 3 and I'll be shitting myself. But
Yeah.
I'm feeling good, mate.
And how do you think we're going to fare?
3-0 Sunderland.
Fucking brilliant.
Piece.
Oh, we're the lads. Get on.
Yes, guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs West Ham match review. Well, it's going to be a review of sorts. It's just going to be me simply acknowledging the beauty that was Saturday's game against West Ham. Of course, we did win by 3-0, and I apologise that this is very, very late. For those of you who have seen the last couple of videos, you'll know that I was away from home for a couple of days. I was up in Sunderland, and I met a load of you guys, which was absolutely incredible. It just really added to the beauty of that Saturday. Of course, our first game in the Premier League in 8 years, and they absolutely blew me away. Every single one of those lads on that pitch, even players who come on, they absolutely proved the worth. They held the value. They were absolutely magnificent. But before we do get into it, if you're buzzing with Sunderland's first win in the Premier League in 8 years, even though I'm very late to doing this video, hit the like button. It'd be absolutely amazing. Subscribe if you are new. There's going to be much more content, much more quicker content, because obviously I can't get to every game. Just the odd game I can get to, you're going to get delayed content, unfortunately. But like I said, I met so many of you guys over the weekend. It was absolutely class. It really was, chatting with you guys, having a pint with some of yous. And pictures and what have you. It was really, really nice. I will give a shout out to one couple in particular, because I did promise that I'd give them a shout out. So Rob and Louise, who I met in the ground, it was lovely to meet you. It was really, really nice. And there's your shout out. I'm a man of my word. I said I'd do it, so there you go. But yeah, Sunderland's return to the Premier League was nothing short of magnificent. It was perfect. It was ideal. And what I found quite humorous, and I understand why people were saying it, but so many people were saying for so long in the comments, we need a proven striker, we need someone who's had loads of experience in the Premier League, we need this, we need that. And then our strikers from last season did it. Do you know what I mean? And I can understand the thought process and logic behind it, because throughout pre-season we were barely scoring. We couldn't score. Mayenda weren't scoring. Isidore was injured. Then they both scored, and Dan Ballard scored again. The absolute gigantor of a man that he is. He scored again, but yeah, the performance in itself was fantastic. I know some people argue and say, oh, West Ham are poor, but they're an established Premier League side. I will say on West Ham, if there are any West Ham fans watching, of course, there's no disrespect or anything like that. I think maybe you'd be able to enlighten me a little bit more. But I was looking at West Ham in that first half. I think it was a little bit more even. They did create a couple of little half chances, usually through Bowen. Jared Bowen is usually the main man for them. But other than that, I felt like that was sort of their tactic. It was just try and get it to Bowen as quickly as humanly possible and see if he can do something. Then if he can't do anything, then West Ham can't do anything. And, that's not to say that everyone else is shit. It's just that's what it felt like on the day. And as Sunderland fans, we know we've had that before. You lean on one player so heavily. When they have an off day, then you're fucked. And that's what happened with Jack Clark in the Championship. When he had a bad day, everyone had a bad day. But on that Saturday, it like defensively, how structured we were. We made it so hard for them. Roofs in goal made a couple of outstanding saves. One in particular when I think we were already a goal or two up. We tipped one just over the bar. But everyone played the part. The back line of Reinildo, Sealt, Ballard, Hume, absolutely solid. I don't think anyone put in a particularly poor performance or anything. Of course, with the quality of West Ham, every now and then they're going to get nicking past the defender and what have you. That's going to happen many times in this league. But all in all, we kept them largely pretty quiet. And that midfield of Siddiqui, Diarra and Jacques was just too much for them. They just could not control that midfield as well. Siddiqui, again, I'm going to be a proper fanboy of his all season. I have been since the beginning of pre-season, so I'm going to continue with it now. He covered every blade of grass, and that's a saying I've said about 20 times now over pre-season, and it doesn't sound too pretty because it isn't, but he does all the dirty work. Jacques is a captain, is a leader amongst men. You can see he's constantly barking orders, which is a talent in itself. Sometimes when we do get a bit ahead of ourselves, when we went a goal up, he's screaming at everyone, right, keep calm, keep focused, keep going. That's exactly what we did. And Diarra, again, he's got the energy, he's got the legs. He was trying to create things going forward as well. Adingra looked really dangerous, constantly on his side. Talby actually surprised me as well. Particularly, I think I'm starting to see the use in him getting his foot on the ball and sometimes going backwards. But what he'll do, if he's going to break forward, he'll look to see if there's anything past his man. And if there isn't anything, he will put his foot on the ball and he'll hold it and he'll keep hold of it and he'll maintain possession really well. And he'll give it when there's an opportunity. He won't just get at him for the sake of it, because then if there's nothing past his man to help him afterwards, he's not going to do it. So I'm starting to see his strategy, or at least his thinking, because of course in pre-season there were times where he get it on the right hand side, I'm screaming at him to take on his left back, but he'll put his foot on the ball and go backwards. So maybe there is some logic in his head as to what he's doing. Of course he did sort of he sent Easdor on his way for the third goal as well, but yeah, that second half, I think, like I said, it was good to see that we were competing going into the game. Of course you saw a little clip at the beginning of the video where I was sort of jokingly saying it was going to be 3-0. How right was I? But I did think to myself, if we manage to just at least compete in this game and show signs that we can compete in this league, I'll be happy regardless of the scoreline. And that is exactly what we did in the first half. We competed. It was very 50-50. Second half, we just blew them away. Absolutely blew them away. It's like, I don't know what the hell Rodgers gave him at half time. But it worked, and it was fantastic. Mayenda with the header, an absolutely pinpoint header. The same with Ballard as well. And what a ball by Alderete, by the way. Of course, Sealet went off injured, and Alderete, he looked outstanding. The second he got the ball, you'd think, oh God, he's going to be shitting himself. It's a big crowd here. Of course, the atmosphere was electric. He got it in a bit of a pressure situation. He did a beautiful little Cruyff turn and then just pinged it away. And it's just fantastic. And then he just didn't look out of place. None of them did. Even the lads who were there last season, no one looked out of place. And I don't want to get too carried away, but I'm going to get excited, of course, that we have won 3-0. But he did look fantastic. Then, of course, Ballard with the header from Alderete's inch-perfect cross. That was another great header. And Isidore with absolute replica of that goal against Coventry in the playoff semis. Shifting from left to right and into that bottom corner, he can maybe raise a question mark about the goalkeeper, but you can see what Isidore's doing. He's almost trying to line up so that he's a bit blindsided by his defending the keeper, and then just try and pop it towards that far corner. And more often than not, you're going to make the keeper work, and he did, although the keeper just flapped at it and it went in, which I'm not going to complain about. So 3-0, insane atmosphere, an incredible start. Like I just mentioned, of course I'm buzzing, I'm excited. You need to enjoy these moments because we are back in the Premier League. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We're not going to be beating teams 3-0 every week. But what I was saying, I think and I probably didn't see it as a positive before, I think with the Premier League, there are going to be a lot of teams like West Ham who they were trying to come on to us, particularly in that first half. And when we shut them out, us on the break with the players we've got in the minute, we're going to be a hell of a threat. And I think a lot of the teams in the league that are going to try and dominate possession, really force themselves onto us, that's when we're going to look so lively on the break, because Talby on one side, Adingra on the other, and Mayenda down the middle, and Wilson when he came on the break going forward, we looked lethal. And of course I can say that because we won 3-0. On another day we might have missed said chances. It would have been 0-0, but we still would have looked threatening going forward. But now when we take on teams like Burnley, like we've got this weekend, they're not going to be that kind of team. Burnley very structured themselves, of course very defensively solid, and now they just got battered, but against a high calibre side, or at least a higher calibre side, you'd say, maybe on paper, than West Ham, although West Ham finished higher than them last season. You still think that, of course, Spurs are a better side. But Burnley, they're a team that are structured. They will sit back a little bit more. They might allow us a bit of possession, and it's going to be a totally different beast. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a real game-to-game basis in the Premier League. But I do think, and now I am kind of excited to see that we can sort of bat away the attacks of these teams and stay structurally really solid and compact and then break. So that does fill me with enthusiasm, as it's going to after a 3-0 win. So yeah, absolutely buzzing with it. I couldn't have asked for a better start. You know, Rig come on, he got his debut in the Premier League. Lefebvre came on as well. But like I said, Alderete, he just looked a different beast. He just looked a level above. Sealt didn't put a foot wrong, really. I think there were a couple of times where maybe he was getting twisted inside out by Jarrod Bowen, but that you go into. But other than that, no one put a foot wrong. There weren't really any mistakes, and Roofs just looked so solid. And yeah, I can just praise everyone till the cows come home. But yeah, it was an absolutely incredible day. Absolutely incredible. I couldn't have wished for a better time, a better performance. So it's really exciting. Of course, since then, moving away from that game, we have confirmed the signing of the defender from PSG, Mukele. From PSG, which I'm really excited about. Is it a 3-4 year deal? I think it is. And it just makes me think, it was only a week or two ago where we thought we've barely got any defenders. They almost picked themselves because we didn't have any left. Now we've got Alderete coming, who looks outstanding. They've got Mukele, who's coming from or Mcalpine, however you pronounce it. I say it different every time. We're bringing him in from PSG. He was very good, and on paper you think he should be starting, but how can you kick Hume out the side, or how can you kick a centre-back at the side at the moment? And now, just as I've got in, Sunderland have officially put in a bid for Lucumi. Jhon Lucumi, or Lucumi, whatever you want to call him, Lucumi, from Bologna. He's the one that I wanted the whole time. And even now I'm thinking, how are we going to put him in this side? Even though if we sign Lucumi, he's definitely the best centre-back in our squad a million times over, because that's the one I've wanted. And he's absolutely class. He's big, strong, very, very good with his feet. For someone who's such a big, I'm going to say it, big brick shit house, he's so good with his feet. That's sort of what he's known for. So to have someone like him and Ballard at the back, or maybe Alderete and him at the back, we have options there already. And it's a long season, so players are going to have to go in and out the side. There's going to be injuries, and it really would be almost like the final piece of the jigsaw puzzle at the back, and it's so exciting. But yeah, Fabrizio has just said that we have made that offer to Bologna. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. I don't want to go into too much depth because, like I said, you've probably seen it a million times over. Although I'm sure you're like me. I'm watching any content to do with Sunderland v West Ham at the minute. And then we'll get back to basics again come Friday. But yeah, how are the lads? Come on!